I'm Mark Parker, and this is Policy Buzz, a weekly podcast to help you better understand, purchase, and maintain your insurance coverages. Now, if you're a business owner with employees, you want to listen to this podcast today because we're going to talk about workers' compensation insurance. And to help me, I have brought on a special guest today. Her name is Jamie Plasek, and she is the senior underwriter for Brick Street Insurance. She has over 15 years of experience in the insurance industry. She's worked for companies such as Liberty Mutual and as the senior underwriter in global energy for AIG. So she is an expert in all things workers' compensation. Jamie, welcome to Policy Buzz. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Now, we work together on one project right now, and one of the reasons why I brought you on today was because you just seem to have a good way of communicating insurance and to make it easier. So I thought you'd be the perfect person to have on. So I want to get right into it today and just talk, because the biggest question we get from our customers or from people who have questions on workers' comp is, well, why do I need it? And so that's a good question. What is workers' compensation coverage, and why do employers need it?
Well, there's two parts to this. Employers need it, and they should want it. So on a basic level, workers' compensation is a statutory obligation, meaning, yes, they are required to have it, but the basis is that they could provide benefits to injured employees or employees injured within the scope of employment, and it also serves as a sole remedy. This is the way employees would receive medical benefits when injured on the job. And at the same time, it bars employees from suing their employer.
So really, there's a benefit to both sides on this, and it's almost like a covenant between employees and employers when it comes to workplace injuries.
Correct.
Okay, and that's the thing about it too, that when we talk to our customers and to people who have questions about it, we really say, look, everybody wants this. This is a good thing for everybody. But the second question we always get, Jamie, is about price, and I'm sure you've heard this too. Price. Why is the price what it is? And really, just to get into that, one of the big variables in price has to do with what type of employee a company has. And a company who has office workers as compared to a company that has truck drivers or coal miners, you're going to see different rates. Can you explain a little bit about the employee classes and really how those rates are determined?
Right. So each company is going to have different types of operations, and you'll have an assigned class code for those operations. And those class codes are geared towards the exposure. So what kind of exposure are you going to see for a clerical worker versus maybe a construction type worker or retail? So each of these different operations have their own hazards associated with it. Obviously, some are less hazardous than others, and you need to develop an appropriate rate that is really developed by governing bodies such as the NCCI that pulls in information from all industries and gathers loss data and payroll from similar companies within the same class codes, and they develop a rate that the carrier utilizes to help price appropriately.
Now, one of the big trends going on today, Jamie, in the industry is pay-as-you-go insurance premiums. And it's something that really is kind of neat, especially for companies that have fluctuating payrolls. Can you explain a little bit about the new pay-as-you-go system and how it really is advantageous for a lot of companies?
Definitely, yeah. This is, like you said, this is an excellent value-added service that carriers offer, and it'll assist with cash flow. Obviously, you have some industries that have experienced some volatility or are seasonal, and so as revenues generated, you're able to pay more as you fluctuate, with your revenue. And so at times where, let's say, there's not a lot of revenue coming in, then you're not able to pay. So when you have a straight installment pay plan on a policy that does have some volatility or seasonal type fluctuations, it's going to be harder to pay on those lull periods. And so companies have developed a way that we can have our insureds report based on their actual true exposure for that month, and they're invoiced per agreed upon rate for that particular amount of exposure for that month, for that payroll. So they're audited at the end of the policy term as well, so you won't have that huge fluctuation at the end of the policy year if for whatever reason at the beginning you estimated a certain amount, and then maybe you got a new contract or picked up additional work, and at the end, when the policy is audited, you may get hit with this huge AP, additional premium that is due, and you might not be able to pay that all at once, and it might be somewhat of a burden. So the pay-as-you-go or the payroll reporting function is a great way to help with cash flow and not be hit, with this huge audit or a big swing at the end.
Yeah, and traditionally the way it's paid is you have an estimated payroll, and then it's an estimated premium, and depending on whether your estimate is above or below that actual audited premium, you could actually owe money at the end. Whereas this is really a reporting basis, pay as you go, is you pay for the previous month, correct?
Correct.
So, and that's beautiful because, like you said, you're actually paying for what you use. And so technically at the end of the policy, even though there is an audit, you're going to be pretty accurate. There shouldn't be a big discrepancy between your estimated and your actual payroll.
Correct. There should not be.
That's great. That's great. And are you seeing a lot of companies going to it, especially with you guys at Brick Street?
Yes, definitely. I've seen a lot of insureds utilize this and be very happy with the fact that they're only paying what their true exposure is. And again, at the end of the policy term, there's very little additional premium due or return due to the accurate reporting throughout the policy term.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, that's all the time we have today. But, Jamie, I want to thank you for being here today. Jamie Plesak, who is the senior underwriter for Brick Street Insurance. We're going to have you on again when we talk about workers' compensation. But thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
That is Jamie Plesak, the senior underwriter for Brick Street Insurance. That is all the time we have today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Parker, and we'll catch you next week on the next edition of Policy Buzz.